gents, we are back with some more news regarding the Limit Over collection. And I figured I may as well quickly briefly explain this to anyone who's new to these vids. The reason why I'm covering the Limit Over collection is mainly due to the fact that I missed the reveals at Jump Festa, so I didn't get the chance to see what the cards could do and everything. So basically I'm going over these as like a first time thing, and then just giving my opinions on what the cards can do and everything. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so first we will be covering some anime exclusive cards. There are 2 for each set. The cards you can see are on screen. I seriously don't understand why Leo Akuba's Ace is in the hero set. But yeah, no, for some odd reason they decided to put Leo Akuba's Ace in the hero set. Well, you obviously probably know why I think his Ace shouldn't be in the hero set, but, well, it was Konami's decision at the end of the day. There was nothing that could really be done. But I seriously feel like his Ace shouldn't be in the hero set. But anyway, let's carry on. Okay, so the first card we'll be covering is called Underworld Circle. It's a continuous spell. You can only activate one card with this card's name per duel. Number 1, activate this card if there are 5 or more monsters in each graveyard. Destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, then each player banishes all monsters from their deck face down. Then you can special summon 1 normal monster from your graveyard. Oh my god, why? Number 2, once per turn during the standby phase, each player can special summon 1 monster from their grave, ignoring its summon conditions, but banish it when it leaves the field. Okay, I mean, it's an anime exclusive card. I don't understand why the effects are like that, but that's all it is at the end of the day. Can't complain, so I don't know how it would work, but oh well. But yeah, good card. I can live with it. Okay, so next up we have Leo Akuba's card. It's called Master Spirit Tech Force Pendulum Ruler. It's a level 12 Light Machine Fusion Pendulum Effect monster, 3500 attack, 3000 defense. Its pendulum scale is 1. Pendulum effect, you can only use the pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. Number 1, during your main phase, you can return this card to the extra deck. Then you can add 1 level 7 pendulum monster from your deck or face up extra deck to your hand. I seriously don't know. I don't know what decks will basically will make this card usable. But if you got an idea of what decks this card could be evolved in, feel free to let me know. Monster effect, so obviously it's fusion materials, 1 level 7 the higher pendulum monster plus 1 pendulum monster. Okay, they are really lucky the fact that this is a pendulum fusion. You can only use the 3rd monster effect of this card's name up to twice per turn. So it has 3 effects, actually it's 4 effects. 1, cannot be destroyed by card effects. Okay, so card effect protection. 2, your opponent's monsters cannot attack except pendulum monsters without a level. Wow, okay. I don't understand how that's gonna exactly work, but okay. Number 3, you contribute 1 monster and target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it, and if you do, it's like 1600 damage to them. And the fact that you can use this twice, that's basically 3200 damage within a turn and 2 of your opponent's cards destroyed. But it does cost you 2 monsters basically. So, funny enough, if you use this within 3 turns, you're literally OTKing. Well, not OTKing, but you're basically gonna be able to win. Assuming you don't get negated, of course. Number 4, once per turn, you can place this card in your pendulum zone. Yep, typical pendulum stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, feel free to let me know what decks this card could be usable in besides like pendulum decks. But yeah, that's it for this card. Let's just move on to the next one. Okay, so next up we have a card that I never thought would see the light of day in regards to reprinting. And that card is, in fact, Gatling Ogre. In case any of you don't know, Gatling Ogre is the ace card of Lawton, or Lawton, I think that's how his name is pronounced, who is the main antagonist of the Crashtown arc in Season 2 of 5Ds. I really, by the way, the Crashtown arc is definitely my favourite filler arc, by the way. But yeah, this card is actually finally getting printed, and it basically somehow sees the light of day. But anyway, let's go ahead and read what he does, or how the TCG actually balances him compared to what he could do in the anime. So obviously he's a level 3 fire attribute fiend effect monster, 800 attack and defense. You can only use the first effect of this card's name thrice per turn, so 3 times a turn. Number 1, you can send any number of set cards when your spell and traps onto the grave. Inflict 800 damage to your opponent for each. Also, your opponent takes no damage from no fiend and monsters effects for the rest of the turn. Okay, so basically that was Gatling Ogre's main gimmick in the anime. Every time you send away a set card from your spell and traps onto the grave, you would deal damage. Lawton used this with basically Lawton used this to OTK anyone he would face. He would just set 5 spell and traps in his spell and trap zone, use Gatling Ogre's effect, and then boom, the opponent loses because it's literally an OTK. Although the only times he's actually never pulled it off in like one turn was because of when he faced Yusei popped good old Effect Veiler, and then when he dueled both Callan and Yusei at the same time, I forgot what the card's name was called, but Callan was able to use a card that basically kept him in the duel even with him being at 0 life points, and it was honestly kind of cool in my opinion. But anyway, number two, once per turn, when this card is targeted for an attack, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each of their attack position monsters, then end the battle phase. Damn, okay. So basically, that's actually quite good. That's a good additional effect to Gatling Ogre. I have no complaints about this one. I really didn't think this card would see the light of day in regards to being printed, and I have no complaints for the fact that it is. I'm curious to see how this one. I'm curious to see how Gatling Ogre is going to have an impact in regards to the TCG and potentially games like Duel Links and Master Duel in the future. Okay, so the 4th card we will be covering for this portion of the video is called Infernity Doomslinger. Level 1 Dark Attribute Fiend type effect monster. 100 attack and defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Number 1, during your main phase, you can special summon 1 fiend monster from your hand. Okay, that's pretty usable. That's pretty good. Number 2, if you have no cards in your hand, which is the main gimmick of the Infernity deck, quick effect, you can banish this card from your grave. Your opponent chooses one of these effects for you to apply. Reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a monster, your opponent takes any effect damage you would have taken this turn. Otherwise, you will take 4,000 damage. Or, you would take no effect damage at all this turn. So actually, the first choice for this card's second effect is actually an anime reference. This I can see why they would print this, because this is, well, obviously this is just an anime exclusive card. But anyways, that will be for this part of the video. We actually have some other cards to cover in this video. I do hope you enjoy those cards. Right, so next up we actually have some retrains of some of the other cards that the protags basically relied on or really used a lot outside of their aces. So yeah, let's go ahead and cover the retrains of some of those cards. Okay, so the first one we have is a Kuriboh, new Kuriboh card. It's called Multiplying Kuriboh, which is basically meant to reference every time that Yugi used a combination of Kuriboh and Multiply. See, obviously Dark Attribute V-type monster, level 1, same attack and defense stat as the original Kuriboh. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. Number 1, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, or your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Obviously, as we all know, Kuriboh is a card that can be activated the moment an opponent declares an attack, where it would reduce the damage you take to 0. But this, excuse me, this version actually can be used either when your opponent's monster declares an attack, or when your opponent uses an effect, which I feel like is going to be a very big help in hand in regards to what else this card could do. Speaking of, let's read effect number 2. Effect number 2. Once per turn, if an opponent's monster attacks during damage calculation, or when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, you can add to your hand or special summon 1 Dark Magician or 1 monster with 300 attack or 200 defense from your deck or graveyard. Then you can change that opponent's monster's attack points to 0. Okay, so the first effect would actually make it so that this card's special summoning really does help with this effect, because the second effect would mean that this card would have to be on the field for it to work. So yeah, I don't see any issues with it, because not only does it help Dark Magician, it will help the Kuriboh deck as well. No complaints from me. So next up, we actually have a Winged Kuriboh level 10 retrain, or a version, which is actually called Winged Kuriboh Sabatiel level 10, which the Sabatiel part is actually a reference to Amnail. So let's go ahead and see what this card can do. Okay, Light Attribute Fairy type monster, which was the attribute and type as the original Winged Kuriboh. Level 10, obviously. Same attack and defense stat as the original Winged Kuriboh. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Number 1, you can reveal this card in your hand and pay half your life points, add 1 polymerization spell or fusion spell from your deck to your hand. And if you do, shuffle this card into the deck. Also, you cannot special summon for the extra deck for the rest of the turn except hero monsters. Pardon. So this actually will help the hero deck a lot, because obviously the hero deck as a whole relies on fusions. So that's a very helpful effect there. Number 2, during your opponent's turn, if you have 1,000 life points or less, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the highest attack amongst the monsters they control. So this is actually meant to reference Winged Kuriboh level 10's original effect, which is where if you summon it via Transcendent Wings, you can then send Winged Kuriboh level 10 to your graveyard to destroy a monster on your opponent's field and then inflict damage equal to that monster's attack points. So in the case with Winged Kuriboh Sabatiel level 10, you can summon this card from your hand with you have 1,000 or less life points, and you can select, and then you can inflict damage equal to the highest attack point monster your opponent would have on the field, which I feel like is a much better version, and I feel like this card will definitely be helpful for the hero. So the next card we got, which is a 5Ds card, obviously, we actually have a newer version of Junk Synchron, which is actually called Star Junk Synchron. Obviously, Dark Attribute Warrior monster, who's a tuner monster, and obviously effect. Same level as the original Junk Synchron, same attack and defense stat as the original Junk Synchron. For a Synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any one Synchro tuner, sorry. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. Number 1, if this card is in your hand, you can target 1 level 2 or lower monster in your grave, special summon this card, and if you do, special summon that monster but its effects are negated. Also, you cannot special summon for the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except Synchro monsters. Okay, so that's basically... So basically, it's the original effect of Junk Synchro, where you can bring back a level 2 or lower monster from your grave, and its effects would be negated, but this card actually does hold a better value to that effect, because you can use this card, which is Star Junk Synchron, to actually use it from the hand and then bring back a level 2 alone monster alongside this card, but the monster summoned by this card's effect will be negated, plus then you're also limited to summoning Synchro monsters for the remainder of that turn. Number 2, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Junk Warrior you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects this turn. Okay, that's also gonna help because of where we got the newer version of Junk Warrior through the Legendary 5Ds decks, and some of the other cards that were also meant to help Junk Warrior as a whole. This is basically just meant to be more Junk Warrior support, and honestly, I'm all for it because Junk Warrior is a pretty cool card. So yeah, I actually have no issues with this card whatsoever. Let's move on to the next one. So next up, we have a newer version of Gaga Magician, which is one of the main monsters that Yuma used throughout Zexal. So the new version is called Gaga Magician, Gaga Magic, which Gaga Magic is actually the attack name for Gaga Magician. Dear God, I feel like I'm gonna make that a tongue twister or something. Anyway, the Dark Attribute Spellcaster effect monster, level 4, 1500 attack, 1000 defense, so the same like type, attribute, level, attack, and defense stat as the original Gaga Magician. You can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. Number 1, if this card is in your hand, you can special summon it and one other Tsubaba, Gagaga, Go, or Dodo monster from your hand or grave except Gagaga Magician, Gagaga Magic, and if you do, immediately after this effect resolves, Exceed summon one Tsubaba, Gagaga, Go, Dodo, Jin, Heroic Champion, Number, Zexal Weapon, or Zexal Sage monster using only those two monsters. When you do, treat the level of one of the monsters the same as the other monsters. Okay, so that obviously means that this is basically meant to be a better version, but uh, it basically holds the restriction of being able to summon any other Xyzs besides the ones I've just mentioned. So I mean, it's fair because it works for the number deck and everything, but yeah, I imagine a lot of you probably have different opinions on this one, but I have no issue. So next up, we actually have a newer version of Stargazer Magician, which is one of the main pendulum monsters that Yu-Gi used basically throughout the majority of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. It's called the newer version is called Horoscope Sorcerer, the Stargazer Magician. Okay, that's interesting. Dark Attribute Spellcaster, Pendulum Effect Monster, Pendulum Scale is 1, which is the original, well, yeah, level 5, 1200 attack, 2400 defense, so basically same uh, type, attribute, pendulum scale, level, and attack and defense that is the original Stargazer Magician. Let's see. You can only use the pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. So this is the pendulum effect. 1. When an opponent's activated spell card or effect resolves, if you control Magician Pendulum monster or Odd Eyes monster, you can negate that effect, then destroy this card. Okay? So it's basically negate, and then basically it frees itself, it destroys itself to free up Pendulum Zone, which you could then add another monster to, or another version, or another copy of this card into the same zone that it was destroyed in. Okay, I like it. You can only use the first, second, and third monster effect of this card's name each once per turn. So these are the three monster effects for this card. Number 1, you could discard. Sorry, hang on. Sorry. You could discard one of a Magician Pendulum monster, Performer Power monster, or Honors monster. Special summon this card for your hand. Okay, so they mainly want you to use this in Magician Pendulum decks or Odd Eyes. But the fact that they threw in Performer Power is very useful because there's some Performer Power Odd Eye specific cards, so this helps. Number 2, if this card is special summoned, you can add one Pendulum monster with 2500 attack from your deck to your hand. So in the case of the Odd Eyes deck, obviously Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Number 3, you can target one Pendulum monster you control, destroy it, and you can add one face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. Okay, that's usable, because then it gives you more of a chance to mill out the pendulums that you previously destroyed, or your opponent would have destroyed, it just had sitting in the extra deck, and then allows you to have easier ways to continue pendulum summoning. So, yeah, I do like the Stargazer got a newer version, but I do hope Time Gazer gets a newer version at some point. So the final one that we got for the Heroes set in regards to the legendary monsters like retrains or newer versions is actually this is one I was not expecting. A newer version of Cyber's Magician, which obviously, if you know, it was the first Cyber's ritual monster introduced and was used by Playmaker. So the newer version is called Cyber's Code Magician. Obviously, Dark Attribute Cyber's, Dark Attribute Cyber's type monster. Same level, attack and defense stats, the original Cyber's Magician. You can ritual summon this card with Silent Ritual, which was obviously the main ritual spell needed for the original Cyber's Magician. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Number 1, if a Link monster you control would be used as Link material for a Cyber's monster, this card in your hand can also be used as material. Okay, so basically this card has the microcoder effect, because microcoder could be used as link material if you're summoning a code talker link monster. In this card's case, it would work for any Cyber's monster. And the fact that it can actually be like used alongside the Link monsters material means you can actually go in for some rather like you can go in for a rather big Link climb. Like you can technically go into a Link 4 straight away with like a Link 3 and then this card. Like damn. Number 2, if this card is sent from the hand or field to the grave, which would basically be the case by its first effect, or just when it's summoned in general, you can then spread its effect. You cannot special summon for the rest of the turn, except Cyberus monsters, which this card is supposed to work in. Also send one Cyberus monster from your deck to the grave, or if this card was ritual summoned, you could special summon that monster instead. Okay, so that basically gives it more of a benefit of you actually ritual summoning this card. Okay, you know what? I like it. No complaints on this one. So to finally wrap up this video, because that's been a bit, we now have the rival equivalent of the cards we just covered. So basically, some of the cards that the rivals used a lot or relied upon actually also got retrains as well. So we're going to be covering those, and then yeah, that will be the end of the video. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first card that's been introduced as a second overframe card for rivals. As part of the second batch, sorry, is Deep Eyes White Dragon, the Blue Abyss. The Blue Abyss. So, in case you don't remember, Deep Eyes White Dragon was a card that Kaiba used in his duel against Yugi during Dark-Sided Dimensions. And I do feel like the original Deep Eyes really wasn't done justice, in a sense. It was never really used, so the fact that they're finally making a newer version of this card is definitely going to be a big helping hand. Let's see. Light Attribute Dragon type monster, obviously. Level 10, no attack and defense, which is the the same attribute, type, level, and attack stat. Well, attack and defense stat of the original Deep Eyes, or if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. This card is always treated as a Blue Eyes card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Number 1, you can discard this card, add one level 1 Light Tuner from your deck to your hand. That's good because of since the Blue Eyes deck has a lot more Synchro monsters recently, a lot of the tuners that are required to help the Blue Eyes deck itself really don't have too many. Well, they have a lot of ways to be searched right now, but this one just adds more. But this card just now adds more ways to search it. Number 2, if a Blue Eyes Ritual monster, which in the case is Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon and Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon, and or Blue Eyes White Dragon is sent to your graveyard, you can target one of them, special summon this card from your graveyard, if it was there when the monster was sent, or hand, even if not, and if you do, this attack becomes that monster's, but banish it when it leaves the field. If I remember correctly, actually, the original Deep Eyes did actually have 0 attack and defense, but its attack points were actually, they were actually gained by the attack points of the monster that it was destroyed to summon it. So this basically holds the same effect, which is pretty good. I have no complaints about this one. So next up, we have a card that's meant to be basically it is meant to be for Zane. Or meant to reference Zane, sorry. It's a continuous spell called Future Fusion Nova. Now, for what I can see, you get the idea. You can only activate one card with this card's name once per turn. Or per turn, sorry. Number 1, when this card resolves, fusion summon one Light Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your deck, including Cyber Dragon. Also, for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon except machine monsters. Also, you cannot attack except with the summoned monster. If this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. If that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. I originally, so from what I can see with the effects, I originally thought this was just going to be a normal spell, but with the with the restrictions it holds, I can see why they would make it a continuous card. I have no issue. It's basically meant to just be more support, meant for just the original Cyber Dragons or Cyber End Dragon, which I'm fine with anyway. I have no complaints about this one as a whole, really. So next up, we actually have a trap that references Jack Atlas because of his ace monster, of course, being Red Dragon Archfiend. So the trap is called Red Dragon Archfiend's Chain. So obviously it's a continuous trap. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. So basically, you can only play it once a turn. You can activate this card the turn it was set by revealing one Red Dragon Archfiend in your extra deck. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. Number 1, activate this card by revealing any number of monsters from your hand and target effect monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of tuners revealed plus 1. They lose 100 attack for each card revealed, also their effects are negated. If the last of those monsters is not on the field, destroy this card. Okay, so it's basically just meant to be a different version of Fiendish Chain, but it works specifically for Red Dragon Archfiend, plus it has the benefit of being able to use the turn you put it face down, you can reveal Red Dragon Archfiend. And the Red Dragon Archfiend deck relies a lot on tuners, so its effect does work well for the deck overall. So no complaints about this one for me. Alright, so next up we actually have a card involving or this meant to reference Kite Tenjo's like robot friend, which is funny enough World War 7. So this card is called Galaxy Defense Robot or World War 7. The art you're actually seeing on screen is basically a reference because if you saw World War 7 in the show, he actually has like a battle like mode. So funny enough, it is actually just straight up an anime reference. I like it. Light Machine, level 8, 2000 attack and defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, or each once per turn, sorry. You can number 1, you contribute this card from your hand or field, take 1 Photon monster and 1 Galaxy monster from your deck, add 1 of them to your hand, send the other to the graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except light monsters. Fair enough, that does work. Number 2, if a Galaxy-ized monster or monsters is special summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your graveyard but banish it when it leaves the field. Okay, since it's a level 8, this card can be used as materials for Galaxy Xyz, so no complaints from me on this one. This is definitely a good card. So next up, we actually have for the second rival card for Arc 5, for Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, we actually have the Clearwing Synchro Dragon variation of the 4 Heavenly Dragons collection, which is obviously called Clearwing Synchro Dragon of the 4 Heavenly Dragons. Of course, this is Yugo's ace. Let's go ahead and see what it can do. Win attribute Dragon type monster, Synchro monster, same level, attack and defense as the original Clearwing, same material or same Synchro materials, 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. This card is always treated as a speedrun card. This makes sense because the one for Starving Venom helps Predator Plants. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Number 1, if this card is special summoned, you can destroy 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that monster's attack, which was basically a typical, well, a normal effect of Clearwing anyway. Well, it was similar, but it had, obviously, differences. Number 2, when your opponent activates a card or quick effect, opponent activates a card or effect, sorry, quick effect, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower wind tuner from your hand or grave, but its effects are negated. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon 1 wind monster. Which basically they're trying to say you could use this to mill out more of the Speedroid tuners and then go to some of the other Speedroid synchro monsters, or this card in this case. Which I have no complaints about it. This is a very good card. I have no complaints about this. I am really hoping the next one we get will be the Dark Rebellion part of this like little 4 Heavenly Dragons thing, because we've had one for Odd Eyes already, we've had one for Starving Venom, we now know there's one for Clearwing obviously, so there obviously has to be a Dark Rebellion version. I am really looking forward to see how that one is going to work out. And the final card we're covering for this for the rivals like cards in regards to the second batch is actually obviously a card that's meant to represent Revolver because of the rockets, and it's actually called Rocket Barrage. Dark Attribute Dragon type monster, level 5, 1500 attack and 1600 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Number 1, you can send 1 Dark Dragon from your deck to the Dark Dragon monster from your deck to the grave, except the level 5 monster. Special summon this card from your hand. Excuse me. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except Dark monsters. Number 2, when a League Monster's effect is activated that targets this card in the field, quick effect, you could destroy this card and then special summon up to 1 Rocket Monster each from your hand, deck, graveyard, and or banishment except Rocket Barrage. Now, obviously, the Borreload cards obviously have effects that can target cards, so the fact that this card continues the same theme of where when any of the Rocket Dragons get destroyed, they would be able to either summon themselves or other Rocket Dragon monsters to the field. So the fact that this card keeps up the same theme is a very good thing for the Rocket deck specifically. Alright, well, that's all the cards we will be covering in this video. Honestly, I have no issues with any of the cards that I've talked about in this video. I'm glad that some of the anime exclusive cards are starting to be printed finally. We have really needed those for a very long time. And I really do hope that we get more anime exclusive cards being printed, whether it's in this set or any other set. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this breakdown of some more cards for the Limit Over collection. If you are new here, feel free to subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a like or potentially a comment, as it will help support the channel as a whole. And yeah, take care.